Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. I am a teenager who took desperate measures. I got plastic surgery in hopes of changing my life, but for some reason it still hasn't changed. First things first, I go to one of the top schools in North Carolina. Yes, our state isn't as flashy as many others, but still, everywhere has its best and its worst. So my best friend Gwen and I were kind of the most popular girls in school. Gwen was considered more in charge than me because she's prettier. And I had problems with my nose, eyes and lips and teeth. So I had some defects, but I was still one of the chosen ones. I'd earned my place in the sun and wasn't about to give it up. Gwen and I weren't friends before. She didn't even notice me at first, or only when she made fun of me. She and her friends called me ugly, and that's why they didn't want me on their team. But I know how to get my way, so I decided that I would be friends with her, and only with her. My family had money. I was saving up money for plastic surgery for almost my whole face to be more beautiful, and maybe even take Gwen's place someday. Gwen's friends wouldn't let me anywhere near her at first, but I gained her trust. I came up with a cunning plan and started setting up her friends. With Kat, I faked stealing a teacher's purse and blamed it on her, and she was expelled. This was easier than Anna. I'd just seen her kissing Gwen's boyfriend and leaked a picture of them online. That left only Kira. She was the trickiest one of all, so I left her for dessert. She caught me outside the house one day and threatened me. Kira grabbed me by the collar and pinned me against the wall. "Look here, I don't know what you're up to, but I figured out your plan a long time ago. Do you want to be in our shoes? Kat and Dan are too stupid, but you can't fool me. Do you like going over your head? The only way you're talking over mine is over my dead body, okay?" "I'm not doing anything over your dead body." The next morning, Kira lay in the middle of the school convulsing. After that moment, Gwen couldn't be friends with her anymore. Kira had to transfer. You ask me if I did something to her? Of course I did. Then, when Gwen was left alone, I was there for her and supported her in every way. So we became close, and then I became her entourage, and my popularity skyrocketed. I cannot say that being friends with Gwen was a great pleasure. Most of the time her character was just unbearable. Now I understand why she had 3 friends, because it's very difficult to cope with her alone. But I needed Gwen, so I put up with her. First, I had to get plastic surgery as I wanted. In the meantime, Gwen and I were walking after school on her errands. I was carrying her purse and unwillingly listening to uninteresting stories. "Hey, what are you doing there?" "Huh? What?" "Are you even listening to me?" "Yes, I am. I'm listening." "Never mind. We'll go to the store. I'll buy something." "And then what?" "Then we go home." "I don't need to go to the store. Can I go then?" "And not carry my stuff? You know my car is being repaired. I can't carry heavy things. It's not good for me." "Well, it's hard for me too." "What did you say? You're my friend, aren't you?" "Yes, I am. I'm your friend, not your jockey." "Well, okay, I wanted to give you my perfume and Chanel, but since you— Fine, I'll go." I knew it was manipulative, but since I already put up with her for a while anyway, why not get nice perfume as a gift? But it was like that all the time. Gwen would send me to do all the dirty work for her. Wash her car, walk the dogs, pick up the dry cleaning, do her homework. That wasn't exactly how I pictured my position. If Gwen wasn't at school, I was considered first after her. But the kids didn't treat me the same as her anyway. They weren't afraid of me. For example, on one of those days, I dressed up and came to get all the attention for myself. But no one even greeted me when I entered the classroom. "Hey, guys, why aren't we saying hello?" "Where's Gwen?" "She won't be here today, but I'm here." And there was silence. I started to get mad. "Why aren't you saying hello to me?" Then my classmate Berta stood up and said, "Hannah, why should we? You're just Gwen's bitch." "What did you say?" "What did you hear? You're just a 6th grader, and we don't talk to 6th graders. How dare you?" I got so mad I jumped Berta. I ripped out a couple of pieces of her hair. We were quickly separated, though. I saw everybody filming me, and I ran to the bathroom. A few minutes later, a video of us fighting was leaked online with the caption, "Scary 6 thinks she's a queen." Gwen immediately started calling me. "How can you not get me?" "I'm not scary? Well, I'll show you all. You will be friends with me. You will say how beautiful I am. Prettier than Gwen. Prettier than any of you. No one will say a word to me. No one can say no to me. I screamed. I went home, emptied out my piggy bank, and told my mom I needed plastic surgery right away. Most of the amount was collected. I got my mom to call the surgeon, and I got an appointment for the nearest date. I didn't go to school yet, and then I went in for surgery. The whole time I was excited. All I dreamed about was getting back as soon as possible, taking Gwen's place, and being the #1 girl at school. The rehabilitation was long, and I was homeschooled online. Then the vacation passed, and finally, I went to school in a new look, with a new, beautiful face. Not everyone recognized me, but some did with great difficulty. I walked down the hallway and smiled. On the threshold stood Gwen. She said hello, and I ignored her. I was 100% sure I was now going to turn my back on her. But a few days went by, and still, no one would talk to me. Gwen got another best friend. I decided to try and make friends with the other girls, but nothing worked. Everyone shunned me. I started chasing boys then, but they shooed me away too. So I went back to Gwen. What, did you think that if you got prettier, people would come to you? No, you did, but you'll still be alone. You know why? Everybody knows that I'm a bitch, but at the same time, I'm respected. And you were my bitch always and will be, because you don't deserve respect. You're gonna regret that. I ran to the bathroom and started crying. I didn't understand what was wrong. Am I that pathetic? Have I tried so much for everyone and still no one wants to be friends with me? Why? With anger, I raged. In the school, the theater began a dress rehearsal. Gwen played the main role there, of course. I missed everything with my operation, but I wanted to take Gwen's place. The play was Romeo and Juliet. I ran in just as Gwen was standing on top of the set. I couldn't control myself at that moment. I climbed up and pushed her down. She fell. Everyone was frightened, ran up to her and started fussing. And I shouted that now I was the most beautiful, the most popular. Be friends with me. Gwen is gone. She's nobody. And I'm everything. I'm #1. Be friends with me. I shouted. Stop! Will you be my friend? Will you? You fucking psychopath! What did you say? I grabbed a book I could get my hands on and jammed it into Berta's face. Everyone around me got freaked out. They took Gwen to the hospital with a broken arm and me to the station. The school's psychologist talked to me. She tried to understand why I had such big inner complexes, but I didn't consider this a setback. I really was perfect, only I did not understand why nobody wanted to be friends with me. The answer came a little later. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. It turned out that my whole life was a fantasy. The psychologist told my mother that there was no Gwen. Neither was there any Kat, Anna, and Kira, or the whole school in general. I am in treatment now and have been for a very long time. The doctors say that I'm constantly trying to get the attention of other patients, trying to make contact with them, but because they are sick too, they don't understand me. And every time it causes me a flash of anger and aggression. All my drawings show different people, and in the middle, I am the most beautiful and beloved. But in reality, it's not like that. Who am I really? Why is this the way it is? And why am I even telling you this now? I do not know exactly, and who knows? Maybe I was imagining things about the hospital too, huh? Maybe another time my real story will help me tell my new friend, if there is one. What do you guys say? Would you like to come visit my world? In the meantime, write your opinions in the comments.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I look like an ordinary person, and really, everything would be fine if it weren't for my allergy to milk. Yes, I have lactose intolerance, and I've had it since birth. Imagine how I used to live. When I couldn't speak, but already suffered from allergies? It was terrible. In short, the day I was born was unfortunate from the very beginning. I mean, my mother is very sensitive, and she pays attention to all sorts of signs of fate. On the morning of May 16th, she went into labor. My mother planned everything in advance, prepared, her water broke, and she calmly called my father to come home from work and take her to the hospital. After leaving work, Dad found that his car was taken away by a tow truck, allegedly because of incorrect parking. Although he always left the car there, On the way home in a taxi, he lost his glasses. They fell out of his jacket, and after he arrived home late, an angry mother in pain yelled at him, and the contractions intensified. They barely caught the car on the road, forgot the bag with the documents, and somehow arrived at the hospital. Already at registration, they asked for documents that were left at home. Mom already said that they would be in trouble, but no one listened to her. As a result, my father went back for the documents, and my mother was sent to give birth. While Dad was stuck in traffic in a taxi, Mom started giving birth. My dad arrived at the moment when everything was over, although it was planned that he would be there and shoot everything on video. Mom was angry, but happy. It seemed that all these ridiculous failures were really just superstition. But then, it turned out that these were really signs. A couple of days after I was born, the doctors noticed that I was screaming like a madman, and it wasn't that I was hungry. I was examined for a long time, then they took some tests, and it turned out that I was lactose intolerant. Yes, if you didn't know, it happens. Roughly speaking, I'm allergic to milk, and not only to it, but to everything that contains lactose. Cheese, some sweets, cottage cheese, sour cream, yogurts, and everything like that. It's sad, because from the very beginning, I lived and ate with restrictions. Many products I could not eat. Even if the dish has at least a small dose of lactose, I would get stomach disorders. To avoid sitting on the toilet for a good amount of time with a hell of a stomachache, I avoided milk. In principle, when you grow up, you get used to what you can eat and what you can't. My parents controlled my diet until I learned to do it myself. Although it wasn't always possible to keep me from eating cheesecake, yes, the name speaks for itself. When I went to school, my mother warned all the teachers to control my food, and my mother always wrapped my lunch with her so that I didn't eat anything extra. So I grew up, and everyone got used to my features, but then we abruptly moved to another area. It so happened that the house we rented, the owners decided to sell, so we had to urgently look for another place to stay. We chose the area where my father worked so that it would be closer for him to travel. The first days after moving seemed too busy. We ate fast food and soda because there was no time to cook. When I arrived at the new school, my mother forgot to wrap my lunch, so I went without it. There was a birthday party at the school that day. After school, the tables in the middle of the corridor were covered with various goodies. I was so hungry that I grabbed sandwiches on plates and ate a few, and then washed it all down with some cool cocktail. At this time, a guy named Jim came up to me. He met me by offering me some more skewers to eat. He said the sandwiches I ate were made by him. Despite their simple composition, they were amazing. It's all about the dough. I made it with milk and added cheese. He said, "What? There's milk?" I shouted to the whole corridor. He looked at me in surprise. Then I felt a sharp pain in my stomach. I twisted like a hook, dropped the food from my hands, knocked over my cocktail glass, and winced in pain. Jim got scared. He started asking what was wrong with me, and I couldn't say anything, just tried to ask where the toilet was. When he understood me, it was too late, and I felt like I was starting to fart all over the hall. The fumes were coming out of me at such a volume that I thought my jeans were going to tear. I kept walking down the hall toward the bathroom, while Jim supported me and my bag. I could see how embarrassed he was to go with me, and I felt even worse because I was new, and now everyone would remember me as Farting Michelle. I made my way to the bathroom and did my business. I was gone for 40 minutes. I called my mom and asked her to pick me up. I took my medicine at home and it went away. But I couldn't go back to school. It's embarrassing. That's how my first day went. My mother persuaded me not to get upset, and she went to school with me the next day and talked to the teacher and the principal. She apologized to me for not cooking lunch and promised that it would not happen again. After this incident, I decided to cook my own lunch now. Maybe now it's my responsibility to myself. No, I didn't change schools after that day. But I didn't have much of a reputation. Of course, it was creepy to go to places where people throw toilet paper or a carton of milk at your back every day. But Jim stood up for me every day now. That was nice of him, yes. We became good friends. It turns out that he dreams of becoming a chef, but with a friend like me, he now learned to make dishes without milk and cheese. Isn't that cool? Do you guys have any allergies? Or maybe one of you also has the same intolerance as me. Share your stories in the comments, and I will be happy to read each one.